A Tempest Fury Tyndall Air Force Base in ruins. Hurricane Michael, a Category 5 monster. It slammed into Tyndall Air Force Base in 2018. Winds roared at 160 miles per hour. Buildings were shredded. Fighter jets worth millions, reduced to twisted metal. The base, once a beacon of American air power, lay in ruins. The cost? A staggering $5 billion in damages. This wasn't just a natural disaster, it was a stark warning. Climate change is real, it's here, and it's coming for us. The devastation at Tyndall wasn't an isolated incident. It was a taste of things to come. A future where extreme weather events, fueled by a warming planet, cripple our defenses. We ignore this threat at our peril. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth dropped a bombshell. "We don't do climate change crap," he declared. His words sent shockwaves through the defense establishment. Hegseth, known for his hawkish views, dismissed climate change as a distraction. His focus? Training and warfighting, the core tenets of military doctrine. Hegseth's statement ignited a firestorm. Critics accused him of burying his head in the sand. They argued that climate change is not a partisan issue. It's a national security threat, one that demands immediate attention. The controversy laid bare a deep divide. On one side, those who see climate change as an existential threat. On the other, those who prioritize traditional military preparedness. The question is, can we afford to choose? The Pentagon, for its part, takes climate change very seriously. This isn't just a passing concern or a topic for academic debate. It's a pressing issue that has real-world implications for national security. In fact, they've been sounding the alarm for years. Military leaders have consistently highlighted the risks posed by a changing climate in their reports and briefings. They see it as a threat multiplier. This means that climate change doesn't just create new threats, it makes existing ones worse, a destabilizing force that exacerbates existing tensions around the world. In regions already prone to conflict, the added stress of climate change can push situations to the breaking point. Climate change leads to resource scarcity. It fuels mass migration. When people can't find water or food, they move, often leading to clashes over dwindling resources. It creates breeding grounds for extremism. Desperate conditions can drive people to join extremist groups, seeking solutions through violence, all of which can lead to conflict. The chain reaction from climate stress to violence is clear and concerning. The Pentagon understands that a changing climate threatens global stability. This isn't just about isolated incidents. It's about a systemic risk to international peace. And that instability jeopardizes American interests. When other nations are unstable, it affects trade, alliances, and the safety of American citizens abroad. They've invested billions in climate resilience. This includes fortifying military infrastructure and ensuring that bases can withstand extreme weather events, strengthening bases against extreme weather, developing new technologies. The military is innovating to stay ahead of the climate curve, training troops for a hotter, more volatile world. Soldiers are being prepared for the realities of operating in extreme conditions. The Pentagon knows the enemy. They are constantly analyzing and adapting to new threats. And it's not just terrorists or rogue states. The scope of threats is broadening. It's a changing climate that threatens our security in ways we're only beginning to understand. The future of national security is intertwined with the future of our planet's climate. The effects of climate change are already being felt on military bases across the country. Norfolk Naval Station, the largest naval base in the world, is literally sinking. Sea levels have risen over a foot since 1930. Flooding is a regular occurrence. Camp Lejeune in North Carolina has been inundated by floodwaters 14 times in the past decade. Training exercises interrupted, equipment damaged, operations hampered. In California, wildfires rage across the state, threatening vital military installations. Bases have been evacuated. Training grounds turned to ash, the air thick with smoke. These incidents are not isolated. They are a pattern, a sign of things to come. The financial cost of climate change to the military is, well, staggering. Since 2018, the Pentagon has shelled out a whopping $67 billion to repair damage from climate-related disasters. That's money that could have been spent on training, equipment, and personnel. Every dollar spent on rebuilding after a hurricane or wildfire is a dollar taken away from national defense. The longer we wait to address climate change, the more expensive it will become. The choice is clear. We can invest in climate resilience now, or we can pay the price later, a price measured not just in dollars, but in national security. Elon Musk, never one to shy away from controversy, has entered the fray. His Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, has been tasked with identifying wasteful spending in the government. One of their first targets? The Pentagon's climate initiatives. DOGE claims to have found millions of dollars in unnecessary spending. They argue that the military should focus on its core mission fighting wars, not climate change. This has sparked a new debate. Is DOGE right to scrutinize climate spending? Or are they jeopardizing national security in the name of cost-cutting? The answer, as with most things, is complex. Hegseth's dismissive comments and DOGE's scrutiny have been met with fierce pushback. The military community, known for its disciplined and strategic approach, has not taken these remarks lightly. Military experts, scientists, and former defense officials have all condemned the administration's stance on climate change. They emphasize that climate change is not just an environmental issue, but a critical national security concern. They argue that ignoring climate change is akin to ignoring an incoming missile. The potential threats posed by climate change are multifaceted, ranging from increased natural disasters to geopolitical instability. They point out that many of the measures taken to combat climate change also enhance military readiness. Renewable energy initiatives, for instance, not only reduce carbon footprints but also ensure energy security for military operations. Renewable energy sources, for example, reduce reliance on vulnerable supply lines. This is crucial in conflict zones where supply lines are often targeted. Drought-resistant crops improve food security. In regions where water scarcity is a growing concern, these crops ensure that troops have a reliable food supply. Seawalls protect critical infrastructure. Coastal bases, which are often at the front line of defense, are particularly vulnerable to rising sea levels and storm surges. They warn that cutting climate spending now will only lead to higher costs down the line. The financial implications of inaction are staggering, with potential damages running into billions, both in terms of dollars and lives. The human cost is equally significant, with increased risks to soldiers' health and safety. The message is clear. Climate change is a threat to national security. High-ranking officials stress that addressing climate change is not optional but essential for maintaining national defense. We ignore it at our peril. The stakes are high and the time to act is now. Despite the political wrangling, the military is already taking steps to adapt to a changing climate. Many bases are implementing innovative solutions. Solar panels are being installed on rooftops, reducing energy costs and carbon footprints. Buildings are being reinforced to withstand stronger storms. Drought-resistant landscaping is being planted to conserve water. These adaptations are not just good for the environment. They also save money in the long run and enhance military readiness. They demonstrate that it is possible to protect our planet and our national security at the same time. The military understands that adapting to climate change is not a choice. It's a necessity. The debate over climate change and national security is not going away anytime soon. As we witness more frequent and severe weather events, the impact on our military infrastructure becomes increasingly evident. Bases are flooded, training exercises are disrupted, and the readiness of our forces is compromised. But one thing is clear: the longer we wait to act, the greater the risk to our country. Every delay in addressing climate change translates to higher costs and more significant threats to our national security. We must recognize the urgency of the situation and take decisive action now. We need to move beyond the partisan bickering and embrace practical solutions. This is not a time for political gamesmanship, but for unity and collaboration. Our leaders must come together, putting aside their differences, to develop and implement strategies that will protect our nation and its people. We need to support the military's efforts to adapt to a changing climate. This includes investing in resilient infrastructure, enhancing disaster response capabilities, and integrating renewable energy sources into military operations. By doing so, we not only safeguard our military assets, but also set an example for the rest of the country. And we need to invest in research and development of new technologies that can help us mitigate the effects of climate change. Innovations in renewable energy, advanced materials, and climate modeling are crucial for building a sustainable and secure future. Our scientists and engineers are at the forefront of this effort, and they need our full support. This is not a Republican issue or a Democrat issue. It's an American issue. Climate change affects us all, regardless of political affiliation. It threatens our homes, our communities, and our way of life. We must come together as a nation to address this challenge head-on. It's time for our leaders to stop playing politics with our future and start taking action. The stakes are too high for inaction. We need bold, decisive measures that will ensure the safety and security of our nation for generations to come. The security of our nation depends on it. Our military, our communities, and our future generations are counting on us to make the right choices today. Let's rise to the occasion and demonstrate the leadership and resolve that this moment demands. Let's get the word out on what this leadership truly intends to do when it comes to our climate, our planet, and most importantly, our livelihood. Let others know how you feel. Leave a comment below, get a conversation started, and please hit that like button so others can see this important news and get involved as well. Thank you, and an even bigger thank you to all our active duty and past men and women of our armed forces. Your sacrifice is an honor that shall never be forgotten.